Okay, we're on Daf Yud. We're on Daf Yud Amid Aleph. Um, second Yud Amid Aleph. Yeah, we're on 10A-1 in the art scroll. Rava Chazia the Rav Hamnuna, 14 lines down on the Hebrew side, and in the art scroll English 10A-1, bottom right column. Okay, so the last time we learned, we saw in the previous Daf that we were talking about a Mishnah. It says that before mincha, right, there's certain things you can't do. Which mincha, mincha katan, we dealt with all this already. And one of the things that we couldn't do before we daven was take a haircut and as such. And then we talked a little bit about davening, and we ended off last time we learned hikon lekrat elokecha Israel, that we need to be dressed properly when we are coming to pray. Now, the Gemara picks up. Rava Chazi Rav Hamnuna the Kama Arich Bitzlotev. Rava saw Rav Hamnuna, he was lengthening his davening. Amar, he said, Rava exclaimed, Manichan Chaye Oilam V'Oiskem B'Chaye Shah. He is putting down, he's leaving alone Oilam Haba, and he's dealing with Oilam Hazeh. Why? Because Torah is Oilam Haba. And tefillah, you're davening for Rifa'enu, Barachenu, Shema Kolenu. It's everything about this world. So you're spending so much time in tefillah, and yet, and you're leaving Torah. You're taking away time from Torah. But who savar? When he maintains, Rav Hamnuna held, Zman tefillah lechud, Uzman Torah lechud. So the Mefarshim deal with this. Number one, there's a famous Gemara that says there used to be Hasidim Rishonim. They used to come and they get an hour before Tefillah, and then an hour during Tefillah, and then an hour after Tefillah. So the Gemara they're asked, and when the time they learn, oh, they have Atzlacha in learning, they're able to learn, in such a way that they catch up on everything. So you do see there is an Inyan to be ma'arich b'tefillah. So some want to say that maybe Rava, when he was saying this about Rav Hamnuna, he was saying that Rav Hamnuna, we're not talking about the actual tefillos that are chovot, that are obligatory, but perhaps he was talking about, Rav Hamnuna took upon himself to pray an extra prayer, his own words, or a Sefer Tehillim, or something like that, why are you doing that versus learning Torah? Right? Your chovos, I understand. But what about learning Torah, which is Olam Haba? Some want to understand this based on the Machlokes Rambam and Ramban. Maimonides holds that there is a Chayv Tefillah. So if there's a Chayv Tefillah, okay, you can be Ma'arich. According to the Ramban, Nachmanides, there is no Chayv Tefillah unless there's a Shas Tzara, unless it's a distressful time. Then there is a mitzvah d'oraita for davening. So perhaps that was the machlokin here. Rav Hamnuna held like the Rambam. He held you have to be davening. So therefore, if I have a chayv davening, I can be ma'arich in it. I can lengthen it. Rava held no, like the Ramban. Just to mention, Yosef Ber Soloveitchik held that there was really no machlokes, the Rambam and the Ramban. And the Rambam holds yes, there's a chayv tefillah. The Ramban says only chayv tefillah when there's a shas tzara. But perhaps the Rambam holds that every moment is really a Shas Tzara. Every moment is chaotic. We really need Hashem's divine providence all the time. And therefore, every moment is really a Shas Tzara. So every day there is a Chov Tefillah, according to the Rambam and the Ramban. Regardless, let's take a look at the next Gemara, next story, next incident. Rabbi Yirmiyah Havayatov Kamed Rav Zera. Rabbi Yirmiyah was sitting before Rav Zera. Vahavu aske b'shmata, and they were involved in a halachic discussion. They were learning Torah, halacha l'maisa. Naga letzaluye, and he was becoming late to daven. Vahaveka masrahev Rabbi Yirmiyah, and Rabbi Yirmiyah wanted to finish up learning so he can go daven. So Kari Rabbi Zera said, Mesir ozno. He brings a pasuk. His pasuk is in Kohelet. I believe no Mishle. Pasuk in Mishle. I stand corrected. Mesir ozno mishmoa Torah gam tilato to'eva. One who turns his ear from listening to Torah, his prayer is also an abomination. Gam tilato to'eva. The person turns his ear away from learning Torah, his tefillah is an abomination. So says Reb Zera, how are you trying to finish up learning Torah? You should continue to learn Torah, because perhaps this is back on the idea that if a person's Torah was munato, is his profession, that's what he spends all day on, then there is a halacha that somebody who is like that is potter from davening. He can learn Torah the entire time. He does not have to daven. And perhaps Rabbi Zera was of the opinion that Rabbi Yirmiyah, you are someone whose Torah is his profession, and as such, you should not be stopping to daven. And maybe Rabbi Yirmiyah held, yes, that's true, that's the halacha, but I don't feel that I'm that type of person, and therefore I need to daven, and I have a chov to daven. Therefore, I have to stop the learning. Halacha l'maisa. Today we say bismanenu. There is no such person who is Torah that is his profession, that he doesn't have to daven, and therefore everybody has to stop to daven. Now, in some yeshivot, the custom is that for mincha, they pray the short mincha, meaning no repetition. The Hazan starts off, right? The one Shemona Esrei, when the Hazan starts off the beginning, they say Naitisha, Kadosh, everyone goes quiet, and they do the one Shemona Esrei. And the reason is because they do not want to take time away from learning. Chabad is not in favor of this, because according to the Kabbalistic side of things, the repetition of the Shemona Esrei is very important and even stronger than the quiet lahash. So therefore, we are not to do the one in the yeshiva if it's early in the day, right? We don't want to do that one Shemona Esrei, because the repetition is powerful. The only time there is really a heter to use that one repetition is if it's really late and it's really in the 13 and a half minutes and you're not going to finish in time after Shkia already, right? And you're not going to have enough time to finish. So then you can do that one Shemona Esrei. And according to Chavavadia and Sephardi Poskim, the way to do it is not like the Ashkenazim, where the Chazan starts out loud and everyone says Baruch Hu Shemo Amen, Nagdishach Baruch Hu Shemo Amen, but rather each person should start together. Nobody answers Baruch Hu Shemo Amen. They say Nagdishach together. Chazan says at the Kadosh. Everyone says it quiet out loud with him, and then it goes quiet after that point. But that's just agav, that's we mentioned about Torah being someone's profession, and therefore they didn't have to daven. Again, not Nageya today. Me'ematai hatchalat din. So the Mishnah said someone who started should not start a judgment case before praying mincha, but if he did, he couldn't continue. And the question is, what's considered starting? So me'ematai hatchalas din. Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Yoina. One says when the judges wrap themselves, when they cover their heads with their robes, this is a way to show honor and awe to the Shekhinah. It's also a way to free themselves from distractions. When the litigants start to present their arguments. And the Gemara says, really, the truth is, they're not arguing. This ruling applies where the judge is already involved, right? The one who says that's when the litigants start talking, it's because they already started it. This is their second, third case in the day. The robe is already on them. But this one is the first one in the day, so they didn't yet start. Therefore, wrapping themselves is the start. Today, there is no wrapping, so therefore, when they sit, that would be considered the beginning. Okay? Rav Ami ve Rav Asi, they would go and learn in the study hall between the pillars. They found a nice quiet place that they can learn. It's important to find a place with less distractions. And every hour they would come out of the Beit Midrash and they would bang on the bolt of the door and say, anyone who has a court case, come before us. So we learn from over here that a din Torah is greater than limud Torah. That they would stop limud Torah to go and see if anyone needed a court case. They were the famous judges, and that's what they did to help the society. Rav Chizda and Rav Huna Haviyata Bedina Kuliyama. Rav Chizda and Rav Huna were sitting in judgment the entire day. And they felt weak. Rashi's first shot, they felt weak because they didn't eat. Second shot is they felt weak because they didn't learn any Torah. They were busy with Dinei Torah, but not Limud Torah. So Tana lahu Rav Chia bar Rav Difti. Rav Chia bar Rav Difti taught them. Vayamod ha'am al Moshe min haboker ad ha'arev. Right? You guys think Moshe was from the morning to the evening, and he was doing Din Torah. Did you really think Moshe was the whole day doing Din Torah? Moshe's job was to teach Torah. He was Moshe Rabbeinu. He was supposed to teach Torah. So when is he going to teach? Rather to tell you, any dain, any judge who does a emistic, a real truthful court case, even for a small time, it's like if he is part of the creation of the world, he becomes a partner with creation, with Hashem. For it's stated here, the people stood by Moshe from the morning until the evening. And it says over there, so you have here, and you have, so anybody, why is it the Mepharshim explain? Because Hashem set the world in a certain way, and people should have certain things. And then Ganavim, thieves come and they steal things and they mess up the world. And it's the judge's job to put the world back in order, so to speak. So they become a partner in creation. So the Mepharshim deal with, the Maharsha deals with, but didn't Yitro say to Moshe Rabbeinu, what are you doing judging the Jews the entire day? And that's why he said, come with more judges. So how is Gemara saying he didn't actually judge the entire day? So the Maharsha wants to say that, no, the truth is, Yitro saw that Moshe Rabbeinu spent half the day judging and half the day teaching. And he said, Moshe Rabbeinu, what are you doing? This is not sustainable. So, yeah, even though he saw it like that. Now, ad matai yoshvim bedin, until when to the judges sit, azman seuda, until the seuda. We're going to see what this means. When is the seuda? Amar Chama, Ma'ikra. What does it mean? Dichtiv. It says, I lach eretz shemalkech na'ar v'sarayich baboker yichelu. Woe to you, O land, whose king acts as an adolescent, as a nar, and whose ministers dine in the morning. Ashrecha eretz shemalkech ben chorim. Happy are you, O land, whose king is a man of dignity. V'sarayich v'et yichelu b'gvura lo b'shti. They eat at time in strength and not in drunkenness. B'gvura shel Torah v'lo b'shtiya shel yain. They come to eat with the strength of Torah because they spent the whole morning learning Torah, and not with drinking wine and not with playing games and stuff like that. Rather, they're coming after being very productive in their Torah learning. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Shah Rishona Ma'achal Ludim. The first hour of the day is the meal of the Ludim. Ludim are cannibals. Okay? They would eat first thing in the morning. Shniya Ma'achal Listim. The second hour of the day was the meal of the thieves. These are the guys who are out all night stealing things, and then they use the first hour of the morning, where it's still a little darkish. They're still stealing and whatever, and then they eat in the second hour. Shalishit ma'achat yoshin. The third hour is the time when those who don't have to work for a living, that's when they're eating, because they have nothing to do, so they start eating. They eat ma'achal polim. The fourth hour is the time for the workers to eat. Hamishit ma'achal kol adam. The fifth hour is when all the people eat. I thought the fourth hour was the time that regular people eat. The fourth hour is the time that most people eat. But workers who don't get a meal break until later, they eat in the fifth hour. Where is this hour starting from? It really is talking about, says the Mishnah Berurah, from when the people are waking up at Amud HaShachar. They're waking up at Alot HaShachar, so early in the morning. And this is what the first hour, second hour, in the Shaul Zmaniyot, that is what it is being counted from. So if Nate's was 6, so let's say 72 minutes beforehand, right, would be, let's just say it'll be 5 o'clock. So use the 5 o'clock as you start. The cannibals are eating at 5 o'clock. The thieves are eating at 6 o'clock. The people who inherit are eating at 7. what's it called? The worker, most people are eating at 8ish, right? And then workers are eating at 9ish. And shishit ma'achal tamidei chachamim. The 6 hour is when the tamidei chachamim are eating. So 10, 11 o'clock ish. That's the time the tamidei chachamim are eating. Mikam ve'elach kezerich even lachames. From there and onward, it's like a stone in a bag. Either it does nothing or it actually hurts the person if you're eating that late. What happens if a person wakes up after dawn? So the Mishnah Berurah says it counts from whenever he wakes up. So basically, the idea here is not to have breakfast in bed, right? Well, what's going on here? You didn't wash your hands, you didn't wash your face, you didn't daven, and you're going to eat. Come on, that's not the right way of doing things. The proper way for a Jew is to daven, right? You're not supposed to eat before davening. Lo tachol al hadam. That already starts from when you're allowed to daven from a half hour before. A half hour before Los Shachar, already a person shouldn't be eating. That's why on Shavuos night you stop eating at the Los Shachar. Now I have to get ready for davening. So you have the problem of tachol adam. You have a problem eating before davening. And what do you mean you're eating right away? You have stuff to do. You have your chovot, you have your obligations and stuff like that. However, there is a Gemara in Sukkah, Gemara in Bava Kama, Bava Matzia, that says a person needs to eat pat shachrit, morning bread. So how are you telling me to eat a brunch, 11 o'clock, whereas there's Gemara that says clearly he should be eating pat shachrit. In fact, the next piece of Gemara says, this says where a person didn't eat and he eating too late, it's going to be bad for him or doesn't do anything. That's if he didn't eat anything in the morning at all. But if you ate something, let's say you ate pat shachrit, late lan ba, there is no problem. So the Mefarshim bring down a person should be eating a light breakfast after davening or whatever, somewhere in the morning, it's fine. But his actual meal, should be around 11. Question was asked whether this is something that person has to follow or is this good advice? This seems to be the Gemara. It seems to be good advice. It seems to be proper hanhaga for a Talmid Chacham is not to have a big meal in the morning, but rather to have the bigger meal at night actually. But the lunch meal could be a little bigger. But the breakfast should be just pat shachrit, miktsas, a little bit, something to eat, something to get you over, something to get you moving, but not a full-fledged 7 course breakfast. Should not be until later. That's brought down. Again, it's hanhaga. It's proper hanhaga. Okay.
1 second.
Yeah.
So basically, what I'm getting from here is 2 points: prioritization. I guess go with the spirituality over the physicality.
Mm-hmm.
And the second, since you may wake up at different time each day, does this mean that your meal will vary as well because of that? If you have a set amount, let's say, of learning time and all that stuff, there's going to be postponing your meal a little bit to a later time.
So you're saying the guy wakes up 8 o'clock, he's davening shachrit, and then he's learning a certain amount.
Yeah.
And then he's eating. And on different days, he's waking up at 9, then he's learning a certain amount, and then he's eating. Yes.
Yes. So he needs to follow his set, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
that's what the Mishnah Berurah says. Yeah, whenever time he wakes up, Shas come. Whenever time he gets up, he should start counting the hours like that.
Does it affect the health for the person?
No. And people like to intermittent fast, right? So this is probably part of it. You don't have to eat right away. You have to focus on other things. We just I got just on the side point. America made us all about eating. Food. Spend money, get more food. This tastes good. Next good restaurant experience. You'd be surprised. I think the Rambam writes that there's more sicknesses from overeating than there is from undereating. So we need to kind of refocus our what we're thinking about. The 10, 11 salads on the wedding table that nobody's eating, or the 15-course meal that they're bringing out that again nobody's eating. Then most of it is going to waste. And spending so much money on it, something that I think overall we all need to readdress and rethink our priorities when it comes to food. And this Gemara is a very nice Gemara that tells us, the Dayanim and the Talmidei Chachamim, they wouldn't start eating until it's a later hour. Yeah, you can have a little bowl of cereal, a slice of bread or something like that earlier. Of course, that's not an issue. But to sit down to a full meal, that should be already after you've been somewhat productive in the day. Okay. Ravad bar Hava. Mitpalel Adam Tfilasoi Bebeis HaMirchatz. Person may recite his prayer inside a bathhouse. And this statement is very problematic because we have a Tosefta, Meitvei. Hanichas lebeis HaMirchatz. Person goes into a Beis HaMirchatz, into a public bathhouse. So there were three major rooms in the times of the Talmud in the bathhouse. There were Roman bathhouses, and we have their blueprints. And there were three major rooms. There was the first room was the clothing room. Most people, almost everybody, was dressed in there, and it was where they talked, the schmooze and stuff like that. That was the first room. The second room was the cold and lukewarm water pools, and then where some people were dressed and some people weren't dressed there. And then you had the third room, which was the hot water room. And that was the room where nobody was dressed. Everyone was undressed. So there's a Tosefta that says as follows. In the first room where everybody's dressed, Yesham, it could feel it. You can say Shema, you could daven there. And definitely you can say Shalom to somebody. You're using the word Shalom, which is Hashem's name. You can put on tefillin there. And don't have to tell you, you don't have to remove your tefillin because everybody there is dressed. Now in the second room, the lukewarm and cold cold water room, where some people are naked and some people are not. You can still say shalom to greet somebody with Hashem's name. The ain sham mikra utfila, but saying Shema and prayer is not allowed there because some people are sometimes and some people are naked there. It's tefillin, but you don't have to remove your tefillin. They shouldn't put on your tefillin in that place. But in the hot water room, the inner chamber, Ein Sham Sheila Shalom. You cannot use Hashem's name Shalom to greet somebody. You cannot say Shema and you cannot daven. You have to take over tefillin before going there. You're not allowed to put on your tefillin there. So, so you see definitely the Beit HaMerchatz, which is the inner chamber, that's the main part of the Beit HaMerchatz. You can't daven there. So what is Hava? What is he saying that you can daven there? Maybe he's talking about a case where, yeah, I'm in the inner chamber, but there's nobody else there. It's just me. It's after hours. Nobody's there. Can I daven now there? Maybe that's where he's saying you can daven. Gemara says, what do you say, Mr. Merchant, now daven there? You're not daven even if there's no person. Basically, same thing. Even if there's no tzoah, what's it called? Excrement there, you still can't use it for anything. Still can't talk, can't do anything. So same thing here. The base of Merchatz, even if there's nobody there. He was dealing with the case of a new base of Merchatz. They just built it, and it hasn't been used yet. So, can I daven in that inner chamber or not? We already had similar question that was asked Ravina. His mino lebeit kisei. If someone designated a room to be a beit kisei, he just designated it. Nothing was done yet. Yesh zimun or ein zimun? Do we say once it's designated, it's considered a bathroom, you're not allowed to daven there, or is it not considered a bathroom yet because it wasn't yet done anything to it? He didn't answer it. Isn't the same suffix by the bathhouse, which is light? No, not necessarily. Dilma, Tani Beit HaKisei, Dim is. A Beit HaKisei is maybe very different because the Beit HaKisei is a very disgusting place. So once it gets the designation, therefore, it's right away forbidden to do anything there. But a Beis HaMikdash, it's not such a bad place. Look, there's still the other two rooms, everything's allowed, stuff are allowed to do in there. So with a new bathhouse, or rather have a hell, that one would be allowed to daven in the inner chamber of the new bathhouse. Just to mention a couple halachot regarding bathhouses and bathrooms. So lahalacha, we say that in a bathhouse, in the inner chamber, even if nobody's there, is considered a filthy place. One is not allowed to learn Torah there, and one is not allowed to think Torah there. If necessary, he can think of doing a mitzvah, such as giving tzedakah. He can also talk in the Beis HaMerchatz, even in Lashon HaKodesh, just not Torah things. Regarding saying shalom, it's only shalom that's used as a greeting. because that's how it's used as Hashem's name. What about calling a person shalom in the bathhouse? So the halacha says, Yaakov Yosef brings down that you would be allowed to call a friend or a person named Shalom, Shalom in the bathhouse, because I'm not saying it as Hashem's name there, I'm saying it as his name. There are those who are more machmer and say Shalom or Shalem or something, they change it up. So it's not actually Shalom. Regarding a bathhouse. That's your mikvah. That's a public bathhouse. Those are the dinim there. As for a bathroom, even a private bathroom, in bathroom one should not even talk in the first instance at all over there. Like the person shouldn't talk at all in the bathroom. Even nowadays bathroom, if there is a tzarech gadol, person needs tissues, person needs wipes, your phone rings, it's a customer that I need to talk to, it's a client, it's a big deal, there would be room to be makel and allow someone to talk in the bathroom in such a scenario. Okay. In Sham She'elat Shalom, the support from Rav Ula, or whom the name Rav Ula, Asla Adam Shiten Shalom Chaver Beisamechat, Mishum Shnevar, Vayikra Lo Hashem Shalom. Gidon said, upon being chosen by Hashem to deliver Israel from the Midianites, Gidon called God Hashem Shalom. So you see, it's the name of Hashem. That's why Sfardim like to say Shabbat Shalom. And good Shabbos, as you can say Hashem's name in the greeting. Ela mi'ata hemanuta nami also remember maybe you should not be able to say the Aramaic word hemanuta, which means ne'eman, the faithful, the chtiv. As we say, ha'el ha'ne'eman, the God who is faithful. If you say that is true, one could say ne'eman, one could say hemanuta in the Beit HaKisei. The Gemara says, "Hasam gufei lo yikre hachi." The name itself is not signifying that. The Martgimiman Allah mehemna. When we say Ha'el HaNe'eman, we're saying the God who is faithful. It's an adjective describing God, but it's not Hashem's name. Hashem gufa ikre shalom. But here, when it's the Yikra lo Hashem shalom, Yichtiv Yikra lo Hashem shalom, it is Hashem's name itself. Therefore, the person has to be more machmer with the name shalom. Ba'amar Rava Bar Machtia, Omer Rav Chama Bar Guria, Omer Rab. Hanaitain matana lechavero tzarech lahodio. If you give a gift to a friend, you have to let him know that you gave it. Shneimar ledat ki ani Hashem mikadishchem. After Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu to tell the Jewish people that there is a Shabbat, Hashem says, let them know that I am Hashem who is giving them this gift of Shabbat. All right, so you see, when you give someone a gift, you want to let them know. It's a way to bring camaraderie. It's a way to bring peace, friendship to the society. Tosfos makes an interesting point, and this is the Tosfos in Yudam Beis. Hanote matana lechaver tzarich lahodio v'dafka b'matana shenote lo ayidei ahava she'ena b'kabel mitvayish. It's when it's a present where you're giving it from love, and the person getting it is not going to be embarrassed. But if you're giving tzedakah she'ena b'kabel mitvayish, the person getting it is going to be embarrassed. Then matam beseter. Then you want to give it. You want to give it hiddenly, anonymously. So not every gift needs to be given public, but a gift that's giving to bring camaraderie and happiness and friendship, that should be mentioned. I have this wonderful gift in my treasure house, and Shabbos is its name, and I want to give it to the Jewish people. Go and inform them. From this verse, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel taught, one who gives bread to a child, he has to let the mother know, right? To bring camaraderie. What should you do? He should rub some oil between the child's eyes, or apply some paint around his eyes. The Gemara says, whoa, nowadays, now that we think you're doing magic on him. What should you do? He rubs a child with some type of food he is giving to him. So some sort of indication, and one would say even today, even further, first of all, you have to know if you should get involved with this child or not. Today you can be brought up with child abuse and other things like that. Person has to know which child, can he have influence, does he need to get involved, should he be the one getting involved, take all these different things, and then he should do a thing that is normal for today, that people would know. No, send a text, I don't know, send a letter home. But person has to be careful. Any, is this really true that I have to let them know? You don't have to let them know. Hashem gave him light coming out of his face, and he didn't know. So he gave him this gift, and he didn't know. It all depends. If the matter is going to become known after the fact, so then fine, give him the present without first saying it, because later on it's going to be known. That's great. But if it's not going to be found out on its own, then you have to let them know right away that it is from someone. But one second, Shabbat is a great gift. It would become relevant. Gemara says yes, it would become relevant, but matan its reward would not become revealed on its own. Therefore, Hashem had to instruct Moshe to inform the Jewish people. Rav Chizda, he had two sets of Kohanic gifts that were taken from the animal that was shechted. And there was a shita that even in Chutz La'aretz it is done, this matanas l'kohanim. And nowadays we don't do this. However, he had these two gifts. And Amar, he said, Kol man da'ativ amarli shematita dechata mishmei de Rav, who said, teaches me a new teaching from the name of Rav, Yahibule nihale. I will give him this Kohanic gifts. He can give it to anybody. And anyone can eat it. Amar Rav bar Machasya, etc. Rav Chizda, Hachi Amar Rav. You have to let him know. Yehava nehale. So Rav Chizda gave him this meat. Omar, Rabbi Merchasya said, are teachings of Rav so dear to you? Rav Chizda said, yes. Rav said, this is what Rav said. Milta al bishayu yakira. A garment of fine wool is precious to the one who wears it. Someone who knows what good clothing is, he appreciates it. The person who wears polyester all the time has no idea what good clothing is, right? So someone who has good clothing, he will appreciate a good piece of clothing. So Amar Le, said Rav said that, but try to adifa li mikaimato. This last teaching is worth to me more than the first one. Why? Because I love Rav's teaching, so that means I understand it. And if I had another piece of meat, I would have given you that gift as well. Okay, and this is where we got up to. We will pick it up next time from over here.